This chapter of Chainsaw Man was mammoth. We got a ton of character development from both Asa and Yoru. Character development that changed the entire way I think about Asa and Yoru as characters. So let's go ahead and let's dive into all of the goodies from this chapter. Quick reminder, I uploaded my video on the newest Dandadan chapter from yesterday over on my second channel. Links are in the description and pinned comment, so go check it out. This chapter begins with Chainsaw Man pulling his starter in a desperate attempt to regenerate, get back up, and fight the aging devil. And now this image in of itself is pretty shocking too. I mean, we've never seen Chainsaw Man like this before. He is literally half of himself crawling to the feet of the aging devil, trying to get back up and continue fighting, even though he probably knows it's in vain. And get this, the aging devil, in the sight of seeing Chainsaw Man crawling on the ground, fidgeting and bleeding out while aging looks down on him. I don't know, man. I don't know about you guys, but this was some insanely powerful stuff. This is the hero of hell, and hero is a big term to describe someone. A hero is someone that many swaths of people look up to so that they may get some power from them because they represent so much hope for the future. That guy is now in dire straits and about to fall to the aging devil of all things, thanks to Yoru. Now, what's interesting about this is that I don't think Yoru is stronger for this at all. I think the circumstances actually benefited Yoru quite a bit, so I think even if she claims this to be her victory in the end, it will always be with an asterisk. She had a team of people pretty much to utilize, and while I'm sure Yoru would cite the fact that she used her children as weapons, well, that's also exactly why Yoru can't be called the victor overall. She won a battle, and she didn't win the war, and she didn't even really win the battle cleanly at that. And we see, once again, as Aging walks past Chainsaw Man, he now holds up the broken blood drive sign, which now just says blood. And it finally occurred to me at this moment, but you know, it may be worth keeping in mind that Vom Vaga means blood. Now, I don't think this is just devil gibberish at this point. I think this is the actual language of the devils. So just something to keep in mind in case that comes in handy later. Aging then grabs his head and says, "Is your head completely empty?" Now, I think this is in reference to the mental state of Denji and Pochita. They've experienced so much that they cannot think anymore. You know, it's actually quite interesting. During the Cold War, they ran experiments on people and found that if you bombarded people with enough negative news, with enough negative headlines, you can get anyone to never believe the truth again. Why? Because their heads literally go blank and they don't want to think about anything anymore. They're convinced the world is filled with nothing but despair, even when you present facts or miracles right in front of them. I think there is a similar mechanic that's triggering inside both of Denji and Pochita's heads. Out of breath. Maybe their head is empty because they have been bombarded with enough negativity, enough trauma, enough sorrow that they can't believe in anything anymore. They're probably thinking, oh, why try when everything I do ends up the same? So really, there isn't a thought going on. They're just in a catatonic blood rage fueled by bottled up unresolved trauma over and over. They are releasing it all back out into the world instead. So they don't have to think for that. All they have to do is feel rage overtake them. So maybe that's what the aging devil is referring to. The old MK Ultra effect of bombarding a human with enough bullshit, they stop thinking altogether and become sheep. And Denji is the same. He is now a sheep to his inner rage. Yoru and Asa, seeing this with this beautiful art of a white background and a curved crescent-shaped crater made from the force of Yoru's attacks literally curving the ground itself, sees this and declares that the aging devil is trying to steal her glory. Now, this is the height of hubris and pride of Yoru, and this may be the most we ever see Yoru like this ever again. I mean, she's on cloud 9 right now and is experiencing the thrills of making Chainsaw Man hers. Just another tool in her bag of tricks, and just like 2-day shipping, oh my god, she cannot wait. It also shows how immature Yoru is to a degree. I don't know how quite to explain why that is, so I'll give it my best shot. If anyone can better describe this, I'd love to hear you on this, definitely. But I think Yoru declaring aging is stealing her glory is childish, because what do children do when something is taken away from them? Well, they'll usually be like, hey, you took my thing, and they'll cry or complain complain about it, right? I mean, that's natural and normal for a child. But because Yoru is the representation of war, that must mean inherently she is probably not civilized and is quite literally stupid. Now, I don't hate Yoru. In fact, I love Yoru, so don't misunderstand. When I call her stupid, I mean that in war, you don't have education in the same way a civilized person does. You don't learn the proper way to act, you don't learn diplomacy, and you don't learn how to interact with people. What you do know, however, is the most efficient way of destruction. Murder, poison, violence, the ultimate suppression through suppressive force. That's what Yoru knows instinctively. So, Asa, realizing that Chainsaw Man is on his last legs, is about to be killed most likely, calls out to Yoru to talk some kind of sense into her. She points out that she has won this battle. She beat Chainsaw Man, yeah, with an asterisk, but she won through circumstances which should be enough for now. That's the diplomatic way to deal with it, which, as I've stated, Yoru doesn't understand or care to understand. So she tells Asa to silence herself and that she must continue until Chainsaw Man is hers, because the goal isn't defeat, it's control. And Asa, not wanting Denji to die, tries again, pleading more with Yoru to try and get her to back down, but she won't. Instead, she insists that turning Chainsaw Man into her weapon will return Denji to being an ordinary human, and both of their wishes will be granted, just like Famine said. And I honestly kind of chuckled when I first read that, because that's when I realized devils can succumb to the lies of devils all the same, just like humans. So to say, after everything we've seen from devils, to trust Fami in her plan? No. Just because she can only say elbow now due to the brain trauma doesn't mean Fami gets the pass. She's a devil too, and devils deceive. That is their true nature. So why should Yoru believe in what Fami has told them? But that's the thing, isn't it? I think Asa knows this too, because she asks Yoru if she thinks it'll really work out like that. And you know, I'm proud of Asa at this moment. I really am. Not only is she using the Socratic method, look it up, but thanks to Yoru, she doesn't believe in Fami's plan at this point. At least that's my theory. Because think about it. If Asa realizes Yoru is a devil in nature, she must know Fami is the same. She must know that Asa cannot trust Fami any longer, and she is telling Yoru basically that after all of this, can she really trust what her sister tells her? Can she really believe what she says? And the facts are unfortunate, because the fact of the matter is that she does believe it. Because this is what devils do. They lie, and they lie, and they lie. And Yoru can't see it because she is a devil. But Asa can, because she is a human. She's not sociopathic like Yoru is. I guess you could say she's just autistic, and we love her for that, but that also doesn't mean she's dumb. Oh, no. She seems to be rather smart. It just takes her a minute. Asa seems to be fallible to lies, but she understands after, probably it was too late, that she was wrong, because she learned. Yoru did not. So, like a freaking badass, Asa takes back control of her body in a hell of a courageous moment for our girl Failure. She's gonna put a stop to this because she is afraid that she is going to kill Denji. Because remember, Asa Mitaka's goal is to save Denji, and she knows deep down in her gut that saving Denji through turning him into a weapon isn't the right call. In a way, I think Yoru is trying to, subtly emasculate Denji, and I think Asa sees that separating Denji from Chainsaw Man would be just doing that. Because think about it, Pochita is Denji's pet, his best friend in the world who stuck with him through everything and gave Denji his heart and his power to give him strength to carry on, to live out their dreams. What happens when you take away the power of agency from a man like Denji? Well, you sorta emasculate him in some sense of the word. And to me, this is an interesting dynamic that subtly plays into one of the main theme of Denji's character, which is a crazy devil woman taking things from him. Yoru wants to take his pride and joy, his chainsaw puppers, and Asa sees this and doesn't want that. Asa wants to make Denji stronger, while Yoru wants to make Denji weaker, or rather subservient to her and only her. So, fearing Yoru, Asa takes her body back and looks back at her with fear, grabbing her hand to stop her from shooting and killing Denji. And Yoru is complicit, telling Asa she chooses to back down for now. But here's where the interesting thing happens. Yoru says, "You're afraid of me, Asa? That hurts." Wow, that's massive. Yoru, the devil, admitting she has hurt. What is it now? What is that word? Feelings? Someone call heaven, because I think hell just froze over. And this is huge because my theory is that this is Asa rubbing off on Yoru. She's feeling emotions, and while it's totally unfair and unbalanced she's saying this after she wants to essentially control Chainsaw Man as a weapon, Yoru slumps her shoulders. Now, this could be devil deception. We've seen Power do it many times in the past, but I don't think so. Because unless I'm forgetting something, which is possible, I don't think Yoru is the kind of person to act that way with Asa in particular. Now, could be wrong, I don't know. But at least with Asa, she's fairly consistent with her intentions and truthful about them for the most part. Now, here is something I think people will sort of have two interpretations of, which I really like, because technically both are more or less viable. Some will say Yoru forced herself to take control over Asa's body. Some will say Asa gave up control to her body. Now, the evidence for both, it's fair to say the least. However, I think Asa gave up control ultimately to Yoru and wasn't forced to. And the reason is simple. Look at Asa's face as she takes in what Yoru says. Her mouth widens and then slightly closes some. I read this emotion as her essentially saying to Yoru, all right, fine, do what you want. The last thing I want to do is hurt someone, even you, Yoru. And I think Asa, because of all of the hurt dealt to her, I don't think she ever wants to hurt a person like she has been hurt. Asa, to me, is sort of like a delicate butterfly who is kind and gentle because the world has brutalized her. She's passive. We can also go back to her more suicidal or depressed moments where she clearly expresses the intent of wanting to disappear from everything. Typically, people like Asa, they don't hurt other people. They isolate. I think that's enough to show that Asa would indeed yield to Yoru as she doesn't want to hurt anyone. She doesn't want to feel that guilt over the hurt, even if it's directed towards the devil. Someone who does not deserve leniency at the very least. But it seems Yoru is genuine, so maybe that was enough to convince her. In that sense, I also can't really blame Asa because she's technically doing the right thing in her mind. She says that Yoru is developing human emotions and probably doesn't want to stifle that and be a part of the cycle of hurt that she was the receiver of for so long. But, what I don't think she realizes is that this is a mechanism to protect herself from the guilt. I don't think any of this is really as real as she thinks it is in her head. She needs to be harder on Yoru. But to some degree, I do think there is a truth under all of that, which shows Asa sees something in Yoru that could possibly be nurtured, something more human. But I don't know, probably the wrong time to do that. In the middle of battle, right? I don't know. Giving control back to Yoru, Asa is seen with a blank face as Yoru is surprised to find that Asa has relinquished control, and so she points with gleeful joy and fires with a pose that will be celebrated for millennia. The Statue of Liberty fires another bronze finger projectile at Aging, but he stops it in mid-air. War, who is clearly out of her element, cannot kill Aging as she is just too weak comparatively, so he touches the bronze and ages it to dust as he says, "Neither Chainsaw Man nor War Devil are mature enough to talk to me. Time to have them grow up." Now guys, I don't know about you, but it seems as if Yoru can't defeat Aging alone, and if Yoru with her most powerful attack, which destroyed Chainsaw Man, can't even hope for it to hit Aging, she's cooked, yo. Yoru has no hope, and I think the only way to get through this is if Yoru teams up with Chainsaw Man to fight the Aging Devil. If Yoru can't beat him alone, then with Chainsaw Man, someone who is stronger or at least equal. And yes, Chainsaw Man is at the very least her equal, because if that attack did not do anything to Aging, then it shows that Chainsaw Man is probably not the pinnacle of all devils in terms of power. I mean, his ability to erase maybe, but come on, that was an insane attack from Yoru. If he can just stop it like that, then this is bad for her, and it's bad for Chainsaw Man and literally everyone else. The only way out of this is through a team up between Yoru and Chainsaw Man to take down Aging, or you know what? Throw some cannon fodder in there. Get Katana Man in there to do some stuff and get, wrecked. To get Chainsaw Man and Asa and Yoru enough time to work things out. Anyways, thank you guys so much for your support. I love you all, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I appreciate the feedback from last week's chapter on sponsorships. I'm still not going to do any sponsors for the rest of 2024 for this channel, but Seems you guys are somewhat okay with it, so I'm just gonna keep this year consistent for the rest of it, however, and stick to my plan. But either way, the gosh darn bi-weekly devil is back, and we have to wait until the 15th of this month to get our Chainsaw Man fixed. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to hear from you. I'm gonna do a video next Tuesday to fill the gap. What video would you like to see to tide us over until the 15th? Let me know in the comments, in my Discord, or on Bluesky. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.